Hey guys, it's Micah from Sapulpa Times. Thanks for tuning in to the special edition of the Timeloop. I am here with Todd Sloggett, International Minister Extraordinaire. I don't know what your official, what I should call you, but we're talking about a couple of big things that are happening over in his neck of the woods, and I really wanted to take this opportunity to introduce everybody to Todd who hasn't met him already and talk about his experience out in the ministry field. You and I have had the opportunity to talk a couple of times. We did actually, one of our writers, Brooke DeLong, I think, did a pretty great interview with you a few years ago, talking specifically about the different ministries in here. And if I recall correctly, I don't have my notes in front of me, but I think she said that there were a bunch of ministries that were actually under this organization that you're in charge of, right?
Yeah, we created a group called HMA, Holiness Missions to America, back about 19 years ago, and it got wild. We started over 860 different ministries on two continents, four different countries: homeless missions, drug rehabs, battered women, children shelters, teenage runaway rescue and return centers, anti-abortion pregnancy clinics, food pantries, food to the poor delivery systems, clothing banks. It was a lot.
Oh, and so do you still run that many ministries today, or has it calmed down, or what's it like now?
I ran that organization until about a year ago, and a young man that we had brought in about 4 years ago specifically to fill that role and fill my shoes as president of HMA, he took over completely about a year ago. So HMA is fully functional. It's nationwide, and a young man named Jonathan Rich. I call him a young man. He's probably 35 or something, but um, he Jonathan Rich is the new president. Yeah, he's a youth pastor out at South Heights Assembly here in Sapulpa, and he still has an office here in our building.
Okay. All right. So good to hear that the ministry is still going well. I wanted to also talk about something that I guess you kind of become pretty renowned for. And I first heard about this when I met with your wife, who is a frequent actress at the Sapulpa Community Theater, which I'm involved with. And I think I met you just before one of the shows one day, and we got to talking, and you started talking to me about your work in the human trafficking side of things and how you have actually gone out into the field and brought people home who had been trafficked. Is that right?
Yes, sir. It kind of happened by accident, dealing with some addicts and some homeless people, and we end up finding out about some people that were missing, and we looked into it, and I was able to find a couple of them and bring them home. And so I continued to do that. I got with the state of Oklahoma. They had some concerns, the way I was going about it, and what I was going about it as. And basically, I was just a minister trying to do good. And they pointed out that there was, a lot of situations I could get into that I would need more training. I need some licensing. So I actually went back to school at 52 years old and took classes at Tulsa Tech and Central Tech, and took day and night classes for a little over a year, and actually got cleat certified. Basically, all the certification to be a bodyguard, a security guard, a police officer, medical training. I have, I think, 13 or 14 certifications um, in tactical and weapons shooting, pistol shooting, rifle shooting, sniper shooting. It was very, very, very intense. And through all of that, the state of Oklahoma gave me a Oklahoma State investigator's license. So I actually am a private investigator on paper. And we use that, the PI company called Elite to the Rescue. We use that as our umbrella to do what we do. We raise donations on elitetotherescue.com to have a rescue fund always ongoing. And in the beginning, I was getting calls from family members, from law enforcement, from different agencies. Um, and we were going out and finding and bringing these kids back. We have a huge network of CIs that we've been building for many years using that. And we were doing 2 or 3 a month, maybe. And it has just grown and grown and grown until I think we've done 20 in the last 2 weeks. So 8, 9, 10 a week right now. Uh,
8, 9, 10 a week actual rescues?
yes.
Wow.
And so we've done that 8, 9, 10 week has just been for the last 2 or 3 weeks, but that is true. We've done 205 or 206. I haven't looked at the files in the last few days, but I personally have closed 205 or 206 cases, and the majority of those uh, we've brought them back. I mean, we've rescued them with our own bare hands, put them in our personal vehicles, and either taken them back to their family or taken them back to the appropriate state entity. It's 205 in 2 years.
205 rescued in 2 years.
Yes, sir.
That's amazing. I'm curious, like the types of situations that you're pulling these folks from. Are we talking sex trafficking, people that have gone back to hang around with, like uh, maybe the people that they were trying to get out of when they were in rehab and things like that, or is it? I guess I'm trying to get a gauge for like the type of situation they're in when you're going to do these rescues.
Sure. It's all of the above. Um, we try to avoid situations as best we can where it's just somebody having a fallout with their spouse or fallout with their parents and they just run away for the weekend with their boyfriend or whatever. We try to work through that very, very quickly. But the majority of the ones I've done for quite some time, for the last several months, we've done one in India, two in Mexico, um, a lot of them all around the country: Michigan, Florida, Tennessee, California. But the majority of what we've done lately has been Creek County and Tulsa County, and it's mostly younger kids, like under 12, under 14, as young as 8, that are running away. And as soon as they run away, they just get right up into a situation where they get taken. They run away from home for whatever reason. A lot of adopted kids are running away. But then as soon as they run away, they look for somewhere to go, somebody to be around, and these networks, these sex traffic networks that are run by the cartels and financed by the Chinese government in our country are far, far, far more prevalent than anybody wants to acknowledge or recognize or believe. And everybody on the street knows it. So as soon as you see a 10, 11-year-old girl or boy wandering around acting like they're lost or they're cool or they ran away or whatever, they're being snatched up by these local gangs and young punks, and they're immediately finding the bottom of the rung connections to these sex traffic networks, and they're just trying to get a little money for them now, and then the next person gets a lot more money for them, and then the big dog gets a whole lot of money for them, and they move them very, very quickly. So we get into all situations. We have found people that the families said were missing, and they've been missing for weeks or months or days, and then we find them, and we find out they're over 18, and they don't want to be found, and they're fine.
Okay.
And that's a closed case. We finished that case. We didn't take anybody. We just tell the family they're good. I guess they'll contact you if they want to. There's some of that happens. So it's a little bit of everything.
How often is it underage children versus maybe young adults and things like that?
Yeah, probably about 80% of the 200 plus that we've rescued have been under 16, I would say.
Wow. Okay. So, how long did it take you to get into this before you realized how prevalent the networks, the predator networks, and you said a lot of it is funded by ran by the Mexican cartel and funded by the Chinese government. You said,
Yeah, I mean that was very obvious right away. We
really?
didn't know the full extent of it, But as soon as we started doing these things, it became really, really obvious that this is far, far bigger and way more extensive and deeper than what even we thought. And I mean, I've worked the streets all my life, so I had a pretty good idea, I felt like, and I didn't even have a clue.
Okay, so help me dig into this just a little bit if you can. I think when most people talk about or they think about the Chinese government and stuff being involved here, they're thinking maybe the medical marijuana trade and things like that. Uh, what would the Chinese government want with children under 16?
Sure. It all comes down to money.
Okay.
The Chinese government needs to stack as much cash as it possibly can in order to continue to meet their goals, which is to be the largest military in the world, the largest superpower in the world, the largest economy in the world, and you only do those things with billions and billions and billions of dollars. That's number one. So when you're looking to stack up that kind of money, excuse me, you need multiple sources. They have a huge wholesale economy flowing into this country. We buy all of their goods. That's number one. Number two, the drug trade is gigantic, and they are the biggest player in the world of the drug trade. Number three, technology, stolen technology, trading military secrets to Iran and Russia and North Korea. That's huge part of their monetary efforts. And then at that point, you start looking at, where's the money? Is it in crops? Is it in industry? Where is it? And they have all of that. But here's the statistic that answers that question. As far as the federal government statistics are concerned, they put out reports and reports and reports until they're blue in the face. And one particular report they put out every year is it lists um, the industries, the global industries that are generating the most money. So you would think, okay, is it oil? Is it steel? Is it whatever? The number one for the last as many years as I've ever studied it, 20 some years, the number one profitable industry globally is always the drug trade. That's number one. According to the federal statistics, about 18 months ago, the drug trade was overtaken for the first time as far as in my lifetime, and it was overtaken by sex trafficking. Sex trafficking now, according to many statistics, is the number one profitable industry on the globe. So that's why they're in it for the money.
So it just got overtaken. The drug trade just got overtaken by human trafficking for the first time. And how long did you say?
It's been over 20 years that I've seen statistics that the drug trade is the most lucrative industry in the world. I've never seen anything on top except that until 2023.
Okay. And you say that this sort of thing is happening right here in our own backyard in Creek County and in Tulsa County
All the time. All the
all the
time.
time. Wow.
Every day. Every day.
Why do you think it is that people just aren't aware of this or maybe not willing to admit it?
You're gonna get me in a lot of trouble, Micah.
Okay. Well, I don't want you to say anything that will get you in trouble, but it
let me
just it baffles me to think that
let me
I
put
think
it
a
this
lot of us are naive to think that we don't think this thing is happening in the good old US of A. We don't think it's happening in Oklahoma.
way. Excuse me. Let me give you two simple reasons. I won't get into all the deep, deep, deep stuff. Number one, we are a passive, uh, lazy, naive society, and that takes a huge chunk of it. If you are aggressive about taking care of your children, if you study, if you pay attention, if you watch the cell phones and you don't give them to them too early and you don't let them out of your sight, you're a far, far, far smaller target than people that just act like it's not happening. So
Okay.
the naivety and the passivity and the laziness is what's getting us number one. But the second thing is the reason it's not known very much is because the government doesn't want to get involved in the knowledge campaign. They got little ads here and there, little campaigns here and there. They could have done something about this a million times bigger 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. But I'll tell you why they don't. And this is what the part that could get me in trouble if I'm not very careful. If you look at the number of sex traffic incidences in the United States in a year, if you look at the number of people that were rescued and the number of people that are still missing, the amount of money that's poured into the networks, the fact that now it's the largest, uh, most lucrative industry in the world. There's no way in the world there's just a handful of perverts running around the country kidnapping hundreds of thousands of people. There's no way. And if you really run the numbers out, what you're going to find is in some countries, it's as high as 1 in 5 adult men probably have to be involved, or a country like ours where it's between 1 in 8 to 1 in 12 men, adult men have to be involved. if if one let's take the average 1 in 10. Let's say 1 in 10 of every male adult in the United States has to be involved in some way, shape, or form. They're a consumer, they're a wholesaler or whatever of human beings. There's not enough lowlifes. There's not enough punks. There's not enough street urchins. There's not enough just people out there that we think of as being involved in this to make up that huge of a number. So there has to be judges, there has to be police officers, there has to be state representatives, there has to be, some of them have to be involved. It's just math. There's no way to get numbers as big as we know there are without lots of all the other kind of people being involved. So why don't we know more? Because there's people all along the system that would be helpful for us to know more that are involved.
So wow, that's amazing to think about that we have people in various levels of organizations, government, things like that that might be responsible for this
And
sort
the
of thing.
statistics are crazy. People think, well, I know what's going on. I'm really aware. No, you're not. The average age of the 200 plus people that I've rescued is 8. When I got into this, I thought I'd be rescuing 15, 16, 17-year-old girls or something. The average age that I rescue is 8 years old. The youngest human being that I ever physically rescued with these two hands in this state, no more than 25 miles from where you and I are both sitting right now, was 2 months old.
Wow. And
That's the youngest and statistics right now show that in the last 9 to 12 months, for the first time ever, more boys are taken than girls.
9 to 12 months for the first time ever.
In this country, the stats I'm seeing is that more boys are being taken than girls for the first time. And I'll give you one more. We think we know, a sex trafficker is probably some guy with, whatever, braids and tattoos on his face, and or chews tobacco and drinks liquor while he pops pills or whatever. That's what we think. That I've only been involved in taking down a pretty high up middleman, a person that is overseeing a bit of a network that has multiple traffickers under them. I've been involved in taking down about 5 or 6, I think 6 total that I've been involved with. Every single pretty high up trafficker that I've ever been involved in taking down is a 50 to 65-year-old woman. Every one of them. There's
How
somebody.
are
There's somebody's grandma. They look like they're just somebody you would see shopping at Reese's.
how are they getting involved in things like this? I mean, that's not. Are they? Is there any way that these are unwitting
No,
accomplices or anything? No.
no. Not a chance ever. Not a 0.00001%. These people are calculated. They're making millions of dollars off of moving these kids, and they're dealing with the baddest people in the world. They know exactly what they're doing. The biggest um, person up the chain of command involved in cartel human trafficking globally that I've ever seen taken down. You can go back, you probably remember the report being a newspaper person. You can go back probably no more than maybe 2 months. And it was a Hispanic woman. and there was a picture of her on all the papers and all the Facebook, social media, and all that, sitting in the back of a cop car with her hands behind her back, and she was about 55, 56 years old, didn't look any different than half the people you and I know. And
Yeah, I do recall that report actually.
she had trafficked tens of thousands of people.
Now, I remember thinking when I saw that, it was like, well, holy cow, I can't believe there was a woman who was involved in this. But you're actually saying that more often than not,
Yes,
possibly, it's a
yes,
woman.
yes.
Okay.
The people physically taking them are normally in twos or threes. They don't take them by themselves. They take them as a pair or sometimes three. If they take them as a pair, it's generally a man and a man, sometimes a man and a woman. If there's three involved, it's almost always two men and one woman. I did take down a group that was kidnapping, and it was three women that was doing it. Uh, but once you get up the chain a little bit and you get into kind of those mid-level captain and sergeant positions in the cartel food chain, it's very often a middle-aged to older woman.
Okay. This is so brand new to me, as I'm sure it is probably to a lot of folks that you talk to. The cartel, do they use like drug addicts and things like that of that nature to entice these folks to be involved in things like this? You have people that, they say, well, I might do drugs, but I would never kidnap a child or something, but then they become so dependent. I'm just curious about how this
The,
works, I guess.
on a very small scale, on a local level, some of that I'm sure happens. But when you get up into these big organizations where billions of dollars are involved, where they're hiring entire motorcycle clubs across states, they're hiring uh, uh, inner city gangs. They're working with the Hells Angels. They're working with all these different groups. They're working with the East Bay Bloods. On those levels, which is kind of the groups that I tend to be encountering, you don't see that very much. Those groups actually, to be part of their clubs, a lot of them, you have to be drug free. It's a business to them. It's a corporation, and they know what drugs do because they sell drugs and they see what it does to their customers. So they don't want tweakers and bad decision makers involved in their billion-dollar chain. So I understand the scenario you're using, and like I say, local, very small time, yes, but not in these cartel groups. No, they're smarter than.
Wow. Okay. Well, just circling back to kind of what you were saying earlier, if I'm not mistaken, is this the organization that's now starting to take so much of your time that this is what's led you to sell the store?
Elite to the Rescue is the organization that is doing the constant training, and if we're not going out at night to do a rescue, we're going out at night to train. We have to stay on top to stay sharp, and everything's changing all the time. And during the day, I need to be sleeping and studying, and I didn't think this would become this huge thing, but it is, and it has. And I can't do it all at once. I've passed the ministry stuff off, and now we're going to try to get all the money we can out of what's left of the company, sell out the furniture store and the business so that I can focus more on this, because I had to choose one or the other. And I don't think I'd ever sleep at night again, get a full night's sleep for the rest of my life, if I decided that some 8-year-old girl just never going to go home, never going to be treated right again, her family's never going to see her again because I want to sell some more sofas.